Hi, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Live at the Backyard Bird Center. I wrote an article, this article, for the Missouri Department of Conservation's magazine many years ago when I worked for them. And I wrote, my whole pretense for writing that article was, whenever I talk to people about what birds they have at their bird feeders, I have cardinals and blue jays and goldfinches and then little brown birds. And I call in the article, I introduce it by saying that sparrows are the Rodney Dangerfields of the bird world. They just don't get any respect. And so when I wrote this article, my purpose was to try to get people to look at the sparrows under their bird feeders, especially at their bird feeders and in the field, and to realize that there are loads and lots of really beautiful native sparrows to our area, and they're much desired birds at your bird feeders. But they have a bad reputation. And the bad reputation is caused by an imposter. And that is the house sparrow or the English sparrow. This is a male. Now, this bird is not even a true sparrow. But they were introduced into this country to be the savior of the American farmers. Well, they didn't do this was, back in the early 1900s, I think 1927. Is that what I think I read? That they were introduced back then, and they were spread all over the country purposely. So they get established. Well, they didn't study them well enough to realize these birds really don't eat insects very much. Only when they're feeding their babies, and the rest of the year they eat grain, which would make them a problem for farmers instead of a helper. So not long after they introduced them, they literally put bounties on them for people. They wanted people to kill them. They actually put recipes in the cookbooks to try to get people to kill them, to cook them, to eat them, to try to reduce their numbers. Well, it didn't work, and now they are super plentiful all over the country, and they're a real problem for native birds, especially bluebirds. If you're a bluebird landlord, you know what I'm talking about. They're terrible, and will kill the bluebirds, babies especially, and break their eggs and things like that. They want their nest boxes, but the overabundance of these sparrows, or imitation sparrows, are actually a member of a group called the weavers. And they're not, like I said, they're not native to this country. But people, when you say the word sparrow to people, they think of these guys because they're the urban bird. They're the ones that are in the parking lots here in the shopping center, and they're they're in the McDonald's eating French fries in the parking lot and things like that. So that's the bird that most people think of. But what I want you to look at are the native sparrows. Especially now, this is the time for them. The reason I'm doing my program today on them today is these winter sparrows. They winter residents here, and some will pass through, but most of them will stay here most of the winter, and they take up residence under bird feeders in the bushes and the shrubs, and they feed off of, especially millet, off of the ground. That's one of the reasons I came out with my ground throw mix, because it's mainly millet. And not that I want to cater to the house sparrows, I want to cater to the native sparrows. So the other part of this is, there's so many of them, they're hard to identify. Not really. Here's my tip. I could do an hour class on this, but I'm going to try to consolidate it into what you look for. The most important thing, the first thing you look at when you see this little brown bird hopping around under your feeders and you get your binoculars on them, is look at their chest. And the native sparrows to our area are divided into two basic groups. One's with striped chest and one with clear chest. All right, so striped chest. Let's see, the most famous of the striped chest sparrows around here is the song sparrow. And you look at that, beautiful browns and gray hues on this bird, and they have really heavily striped chest. And in the center of their chest, it almost looks like the stripes gather into a central dark spot. Now that spot can be, really, really pronounced and not so pronounced. But the heavy striping on the chest, beautiful native sparrows, the face. Another good distinguishing feature of this bird is what we call the malar stripe, which is from the beak down, this guy here, the Fu Manchu mustache, if you will. That's another real good indication of a song sparrow. Now, a look-alike is the fox sparrow. The fox sparrow is a really heavily striped bird, and actually a very big sparrow. But look at, I don't know if, hopefully you can see this on the camera, but if not, look them up, because the stripes on the chest are actually individual little arrowheads. They look like little arrowheads lined up one behind the other in striping on the chest. Really heavily striped chest. So song sparrow and fox sparrow. Now the bird that's getting is really common right now that people are calling about are the Lincoln sparrows. Lincoln sparrows, another beautiful little sparrow, and you notice that its striping is much, much finer. So it does have striped chest, but it's a very fine chest, and it has this little tan band across there. Very gray in the face. To me, this is the grayest of the sparrows I see out there. So those three. Start with those three in the striped chest sparrow world, and then the clear-chested sparrows. If it's got clear-chested, then the most likely candidate of the clear-chested is the white-throated sparrow. And they have beautiful white throat, white stripes on the head, and then and mostly in the spring you'll see the yellow lores above the eyes in the winter months as well. But mainly they're really pronounced. This is a very spring picture. This guy's getting ready for breeding season, or female. It can be a male or a female. But the thing that can be confusing with white-throated sparrows is the stripes on the head are not always bright white. There are two basic races like black labs and yellow labs and chocolate labs. There are white-striped white-throated sparrows and tan-striped white-throated sparrows. So you can see either of those. So that can be confusing as well. But both of them will have the white throat, which is really nice for it. A lookalike for those is the white-crowned sparrow. Look how beautiful clear-chested this bird is. The white-throated was clear-chested. The white crown is clear-chested. But instead of having three kind of the same size stripes on the head, the central stripe on the white-crowned sparrow is much wider, and that's where the white crown name comes from. And this too is a large sparrow. You know, there's different sizes in sparrows as well, but the white-crowned sparrow is a hefty bird. He's kind of big. And then the last of the clear-chested sparrow, and this one kind of is a little bit fuzzy in the line because it's not super clear-chested, is its cousin, the Harris's sparrow. Now this is the whitest of the sparrows. It's got a very white chest, and it's actually kind of a mascot bird of the local Audubon Society, the Burroughs Audubon Society. The Harris sparrow is their mascot bird, so you'll see that. Here's a good picture of the chest. Very white and very the black changes a lot during the season. It'll get darker and darker, and then by spring, I'm going to show you what they look like in the spring. A gorgeous, gorgeous sparrow. Instead of tan on the sides, it'll be nice gray. That's right before they leave in late spring. So the striped sparrows, the clear-chested sparrows, and then I'm going to throw the last one at you. You're going to look at me and go, "Wait a minute, no, that can't be right," because yes, Juncos are sparrows. I know they don't have sparrow in their name, but Juncos are sparrows, and we know them as snowbirds, and they're going to be showing up at feeders at any time. So take the extra time to check out these little brown birds under your feeders. You'll discover there are some really beautiful native sparrows among them, and give them a little respect. Not like Rodney Dangerfield, right? So if you like the programs, please give them a like, share them with your friends if you will. Visit the website. I have an article on backyardbirdcenter.com called "It's Good to Be Brown," and it'll break down the native sparrows in there if you want to read more about them. But until then, send in ideas for future programs and come by. Let's talk birds.